Welcome. This video will show you how to work with the different base maps provided in the TPG Property Viewer, along with the additional imagery and labeling layers that can be turned on and off dynamically. You will also see how you can resume your previous session when restarting or refreshing the application in your internet browser page. First, open the TPG Property Viewer and open the Basemaps pane by clicking on the Basemaps icon on the top right corner of your screen. All the different tabs you can see here are different base maps. A base map is the term we use in the GIS world to refer to the background setting for a map. It usually contains imagery and/or topography, along with labels and basic data. In WebGIS, the base map will change dynamically as you navigate on the map. Note that a base map is more like a background image rather than layers of data. Therefore, the items on a base map cannot be clicked on for more information, and they cannot be switched on and off like other data layers. At times, it may be tricky for users to distinguish between elements of the base map and actual data layers. In the Property Viewer, all the data layers are accessible from the panes such as Property Layers, District Planning, NZTA Data Layers, and Aerial Imagery. The layers from these panes will have the capability to be switched on and off based on your needs, and they will always sit on top of the base map. For example, if you switch off the References layer from the Property Layers pane, you will notice that these labels are not part of the base map. They are a layer of labels sitting on top of the base map that you can switch on and off. Now, let's take a look at our base map options. The current imagery base map is the default world imagery. This world imagery base map is hosted by our GIS software provider, Imagery, and the imagery data is sourced from multiple contributors worldwide. Contributors for this imagery include Digital Globe's imagery from the Icon satellite and many New Zealand councils. For further information on the source and date of capture for this world imagery base map, open the Aerial Imagery pane and switch on the layer named World Imagery Sources Information. A pop-up with information will now appear when you click on the map. The information will change as you move around and click on the map. You may need to click through the different pop-ups to view the information related to the imagery. An imagery base map is built like patchwork. Different sources of imagery for different locations and collected on different dates are attached together to create the base map you can see. Which is why when you pan and zoom on the map, the imagery changes based on the most recent images that are available for that location at the specific extent you're looking at. For example, if we look at the city of Napier, you will notice how the imagery changes as we slowly zoom in to a larger scale. From the changes in the infrastructure along the waterfront, it is quite obvious that these two sets of imagery were not collected on the same date. But where does this imagery come from? Well, the imagery you're currently looking at, when you zoom in and out, comes from the default imagery base map. But this is not the only imagery source that's available for this area. From here, there are two options for changing the imagery. First, you could decide to change the base map. For example, choose the Google Satellite imagery, or the New Zealand imagery sourced from LINTS. Or you can add imagery as a layer to sit on top of your current base map. Open the Aerial Imagery pane and switch the appropriate layer on. Note that these imagery layers may take a few moments to appear when you first switch them on. So keep in mind, when you switch an imagery layer on, it will always sit on top of your base map, meaning that if you now change the base map to, say, OpenStreetMaps, you will not be able to see that new base map unless you first switched the Imagery layer off. Now, going back to the Basemap options here in the Property Viewer, take the time to click through each one of these options to explore their content. Now, let's return to the default Imagery basemap and turn on the Napier Imagery layer. There are currently no reference labels on the map because we've removed them earlier. You can either switch the layer back on, or choose to display a series of other labeling layers. For example, if you only need road names, switch the road names layer on. Or other available labeling layers are owners' names, title, legal description, and survey area, and house numbers. Once you're happy with the setup of your map, you may wish to quickly return to this setup every time you open the Property Viewer. Well, this is possible. Every time you restart or refresh the application in your internet browser page, you will be prompted with the option to restore the map extent and layers visibility where you left off. You need to click on the window to return to these settings. But note that any drawings or outlines you may have produced in the previous session will not be kept. This is limited only to the map location and layers visibility. I hope this video helped to better understand how basemaps and layers can be used together to create better products and access the information you need. Thank you for watching.